Hello and welcome again to Monday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Up on the hazardous weather graphic here, we've got winter weather advisories, or actually wind advisories, out for the Kobuk and Noatak Valley area here for tonight into tomorrow. For winds from the east-northeast gusting up to 45 miles an hour. And so that'll create areas of blowing snow, which could reduce visibility to a half mile or less at times. Otherwise, no warnings, watches, or advisories out anywhere else in the state. Looking at satellite imagery, pretty clear skies here with basically easterly flow north of this weakening frontal boundary here, south of the Pribilofs, bringing rain into the eastern Aleutians again today, and to a much lesser extent over toward the Alaska Peninsula. And then breaking out here at the front north of Adak and Atka, pretty nice afternoon, although probably hanging on to a little bit of moisture there at Adak, but the bulk of that up to the north and back to the northwest towards Shimmier, where you're back in the rain. And then up along the Arctic coast, much improved from yesterday along the eastern stretch of the coastline there. We had the blizzard warning out. Winds this afternoon down to about 15 miles an hour. Got some clouds dropping southeastward here into the central and west side. Maybe a few flurries with that, but nothing significant at all. And mostly, again, just clouds dropping down with maybe a few flurries or isolated snow showers in this area of cloudiness. And also have some clouds here along the southwest coast. And along the Alaska Range, could be a few snow showers there, as well as over the eastern interior. On down into the Panhandle, areas of rain and snow showers. Falling down over the southern areas, a system trying to develop here just off the coast. It looks like that'll be sliding eastward across either Queen Charlotte's or Dixon entrance tonight, and that'll keep chance of precipitation highest over the southern Panhandle and less of that up to the north, but still have a threat of showers, snow showers all night tonight and into tomorrow, especially over toward the eastern border and up toward White Pass. Rolling that along again, you can see this front out here to the west not really making any headway, just caught up and lying pretty much parallel to the wind flow from east-southeast to north-northwest. So slowly weakening in place here. You can see the how it's kind of fragmenting, stretching apart here across the Alaska Peninsula. That trend will continue tonight and tomorrow. On the chart here, that front roughly in this position this afternoon with a narrow band of rain, again, possibly as far east as Falls Pass, but into the eastern Aleutians, and then back to the northwest, and again, breaking out here over the central Aleutians, and then back into the rain farther to the west. High pressure actually beginning to retreat off to the west here, both at the surface and aloft over the Russian Far East, but big enough area of high pressure that continuing this dry east-northeasterly flow, especially along the coast here and south central Alaska, looking really good. Kuskokwim Valley up into actually even the Tanana Valley, seeing some clearing today of the clouds mostly along the central eastern Alaska range. Real isolated snow showers right over toward the border. Most of that moisture from the snow over the weekend out of the area there, but northeast flow, upslope flurries and light snow going on north of White Pass and roughly up to maybe some of that spilling across the border here over the extreme southeast interior. Southeast coast, looked like some snow showers were making it west of the border this afternoon, but not too far, and mostly rain and snow mixed falling over the southern southeast coast. Pretty light amounts though. And for tonight, this low slowly moves eastward and again tries to develop, only gets down to about 1,010 millibars, but that's enough to keep the chance of rain and snow over the southern Panhandle with areas of snow northward there. Petersburg, Wrangell, chance of snow tonight, tapering off farther to the north. Get some clearing along the northeast Gulf Coast there with that offshore flow, and a few isolated showers off the coast, staying dry for Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula, down to Kodiak, and mostly clear skies over the southwest interior, northward across the Kuskokwim Valley into, say, Tanana and almost into the Fairbanks area. This trough will keep scattered snow showers in the forecast for the areas from the northeast Copper River Basin all along and just west of the border here, all the way up again. Chance of snow lingers on the eastern, extreme eastern Arctic coast, but 1,050 millibar high just off the central coast there. Look for clearing skies and fairly light winds, a little breezy here along the Brooks Range and over the northwest coastal areas. And again, where that wind advisory is out, those will continue to increase overnight tonight. Same story out in the Aleutians. Frontal boundary hung up right in this position. Rain for the central Aleutians, scattered isolated showers, Adak and Atka, and it looks like continuation of rain or rain and snow mix for Shimmy and Attu, but winds out there not too bad. Tomorrow, a tighter gradient up here over the north and northwest along the south side of the Brooks Range, so that's responsible for that wind advisory. Actually, a pretty good gradient through all of the interior, so it'll be pretty gusty here on the winds tomorrow, even out of the wind advisory area. Higher elevations, say, for example, Indian Mountain could see gusts 40 miles an hour tomorrow, and breezy conditions across the Tanana Valley all the way to the border. Pick up the clouds, still a chance of snow showers here, upper trough axis line through this area, so that'll keep it pretty unsettled there, right on down into the Panhandle, but just less in the way of snow showers. This system moves off to the east, leaving scattered snow showers down to the south. Look for some clearing up to the north, Juneau to Elfin Cove. And the North Gulf Coast, maybe a little bit of an increase in the cloudiness, a few more clouds tomorrow, but most of the snow shower activity should stay off the coast or north of the Alaska Range. Isolated snow showers possible in the western Alaska Range, really pretty slight chance or risk of that happening. Whatever this fall will be very light and probably mostly miss than hit. And maybe a few showers off the coast here with a few more clouds over the southeast Bering Sea, but still pretty good. The Alaska Peninsula, mostly sunny Kodiak. And remnants of this front now keep a chance of light rain, very light rain or drizzle there, fog for the Nikolsky area. Another front brings a better chance up toward the central Aleutians tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon. Then on Wednesday, that system shifts northward a little bit, but really weakens, washes out here into a trough. So just areas of light rain, fog, showers with that. And staying west now of the eastern Aleutians and Alaska looking pretty good, as is the Pribilofs. Dry northeast flow here, variable clouds, dry conditions across all of the Bering Sea, mostly sunny here over the west central interior out to the Seward Peninsula, and kind of a change in the pattern now with surface low here pulling westward with the upper level low. So wind flow now southeast to northwest, and that's going to push a front moisture or a trough in moisture up to the North Gulf Coast. Should stay cold enough though that whatever falls will be in the form of snow along the North Gulf Coast. Best chance in those areas, southern Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, Kachemak Bay, and then that threat cuts off pretty good as you head north. Just some isolated snow showers possible up to possibly the Alaska Range. Drier over the Panhandle with more sunshine, and then a few flurries up there over the central north slope areas with continued windy conditions across the north and northeast interior to the northwest interior there. Kivalina, pretty windy, as well as Point Hope, Cape Lisburne. Maybe a little lighter on the winds for the Kobuk Valley, though, but still enough of gradient here for some pretty gusty northeast winds, especially through the passes of the Brooks Range. Low temperatures forecast for tonight, 5 to 15 below here over the eastern interior, up across the eastern north slope areas. And you can see the 0 degree isotherm running right through here, so above zero to the west of that, into the teens, all the way out to the southwest coast, or actually in the lower 20s there for Nunivak Island, mid-20s St. Lawrence Island, 33 the forecast low for St. Paul, and 30s for the Aleutians, 30s for the Alaska Peninsula, mid-30s, cool into the upper 20s to lower 20s, and teens and 20s for south central Alaska, the Panhandle mostly in the 20s, lower 30s. Highs for tomorrow afternoon, 35 to 45 there for the Panhandle, mid to upper 30s here, south central Alaska, lower 40s, Kodiak Island, and mid-40s for the Alaska Peninsula, 40s for the Aleutians, and just above zero there for the Arctic coast. Some areas in the north slope may remain a little below zero throughout the day, and otherwise lower to mid-20s here into the interior, mid-30s Bristol Bay. Lows for the next morning, about the same, 5 to 15 below here, eastern interior to a little above zero in the Copper River Basin, but the Arctic coast right around 8 to 10 below. And then single numbers and teens, 10 to 15 for the Yukon and Kuskokwim Delta, near 20 for Bristol Bay, lower 30s for Kodiak Island, and the southeast coast, mostly in the 20s, lower to mid, except down south maybe up around 30, And for the Aleutians, upper 30s. High temperatures coming up for Wednesday afternoon. Again, 0 to 5 above the Arctic coast north slope. Teens for the north central interior, and then 20s for the Tanana Valley. Mid to upper 30s, south central Alaska, and even warmer here for the Alaska Peninsula and the Panhandle with mid 40s.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving on to flying weather here. Some IFR up along the Brooks Range and then extending back out to the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. And marginal VFR by the central coast. By the time you get to the central coast, gives way to VFR for the west side. IFR here, St. Lawrence Island, in across Norton Sound there to and a ways inland, also along the southern Norton Sound coast, Yukon Delta coast. VFR through here, Kodiak Island, Alaska Peninsula. Lots of IFR out over the southwest Bering, and from about Nikolsky on out. Some IFR lingering here over the eastern Alaska range. There is a marginal VFR up the eastern interior. VFR here for the Panhandle in areas. Marginal VFR pretty likely over toward the border, and possibly even some IFR. Tomorrow afternoon, marginal VFR here over toward the border, more spotty out along the coast. Marginal VFR, Alaska Range, Talkeetna Mountains, White Mountains there, and the central eastern Brooks Range to the eastern Arctic coast. And a little bit of IFR here over the northern Bering Sea. Otherwise, the big area remains down here to the south and southwest across much of the central Aleutians, and almost now retreating back from Nikolsky a little bit. For the next day, Wednesday morning, widespread area IFR in the north slope there with marginal VFR from roughly Point Lay over to Mackenzie Bay. And then more spotty now, a little bit of an improvement here over the eastern interior. Just patchy areas, marginal VFR, and kind of a deterioration here for south central Alaska, south of the mountains now with marginal VFR. Looks to be on the increase, Prince William Sound, and about the same for the Talkeetna Mountains, Kodiak Island, marginal, northeast Bristol Bay. IFR from roughly Atka on out west. Otherwise, the northern Bering Sea looking pretty good VFR-wise. Southeast coast for the afternoon. Mostly VFR, still some patchy areas of marginal VFR over toward the border. And again, marginal VFR, eastern Alaska range from Talkeetnas up to possibly Northway and Tok, and over the White Mountains here, North Slope, occasionally marginal. Good VFR out here to the west, Norton Sound, all the way up to Kotzebue, Kivalina, Point Hope, in those areas. And Nunivak Island into the marginal stuff, as is the Pribilos, much of the Bering Sea, and now just a narrow area of IFR here out over the western Aleutians. Passes Anatuvik, VFR trending toward marginal throughout the afternoon hours. That same forecast goes for Adigan as well. And for Lake Clark, Merrill, VFR gradually deteriorating toward marginal VFR into the later part of the afternoon. It'll be slow going. Same forecast for Rainy. Maybe a little faster for Rainy to go marginal in the afternoon. And then for Windy, same trend, VFR, deterioration in conditions, Celine's lowering to marginal VFR levels. Isabel, marginal VFR, on the southern entrance, so into the south. Mentasta looks pretty marginal throughout the day on Tuesday. And Tanita, good VFR once again, as well as Portage, VFR. Chilkoot and White, same sort of pattern here, marginal VFR possible on the northern approaches, entrances there. Otherwise, VFR through the pass and on down to the south. Freezing level, again, cold northerly flow here, pushing 2,000 feet way down, almost to the edge of the map there at the surface, hugging the coastline all the way around, just near or east of Prince of Wales Island. And then out here where the upper level ridge is actually retreating back to the northwest, we got 4,000 to 6,000 foot freezing levels here over the northern Bering Sea. Shifting to the northwest, Bering about 4,000 over the Aleutians. Icing shaping up like this, not much, really. This one weak band right through here could bring a risk of some icing to the eastern Aleutians. A little bit better chance, but even that, not all that great. Nothing serious though, but above about 4,000 feet of the Reimer mixed varieties. Icing free here through the interior. And then with those, with the moisture down here over the central and southern southeast coast, chance of seeing some mixed icing there above about 3,000 feet in areas, but again, nothing very serious. Jet stream showing this northerly flow now beginning to retreat back to the west as this upper level low starts pulling westward, and the high retreats to the west over the Russian Far East there. So now a little bit farther west here, but still sailing down 90 to diminishing to 50 knots, and then now well south of the Panhandle. And this branch here kind of affecting the central Aleutians with some storminess there over the northwest Pacific. 9,000 feet, northeasterlies 20 to 35 knots here through the interior, as high as 50 knots across the Seward Peninsula. And then lighter here under higher pressure, 25 to 30 there with that next system. Pretty light for the panhandle. 3,000 foot winds, northeasterlies 25 to 35 through the interior there. Turbulence, occasional moderate chop in the interior and from the northwest valleys on down to St. Lawrence Island.
It's kind of hard to explain how important weather is to our job. I mean, it really affects everything we do.
In 2018, NOAA launches the GOES-S satellite, which takes its place in orbit as GOES-17. Working together with GOES-16, the two new geostationary weather satellites will provide constant watch over the United States and the Western Hemisphere, from the west coast of Africa all the way to New Zealand, helping monitor severe storms, wildfires, and daily weather patterns. Since its launch, NOAA's GOES-16 satellite has already demonstrated its critical capability for keeping our nation weather ready. Throughout the active 2017 hurricane season, GOES-16 delivered imagery with detail and clarity never achieved before, with 4 times greater resolution than previous NOAA satellites, and delivered this imagery faster than ever before, helping forecasters predict the path of a storm and where and when it will intensify. These accurate and timely forecasts allowed for emergency managers to prepare for evacuations, map flood areas, and save lives.
So the weather matters. The weather matters before the weather happens, and the weather matters after the event happens, because what we're able to do to prepare, allocate resources, provide information to the public through the media beforehand, and what we're able to do afterwards, how and when the waters are going to recede, so we know we can get vehicles with life-saving food and shelter equipment down a particular highway. All of that depends on the forecast.
In the GOES West position, GOES-17 will be able to provide critical data for the westernmost United States, Alaska, and Hawaii.
We're talking about getting data updates in just seconds, so we can quickly spot wildfires and closely monitor the wind direction and their intensity. The crispness of the data coming in at a faster rate will also help with fog forecasts. We can see the moment the stratus starts to develop or when it starts to move out.
Like GOES-16, GOES-17 carries a suite of advanced instruments, including tools for sophisticated earth sensing, lightning detecting, solar imaging, and space weather monitoring. As an equal partner in the sky, GOES-17 will expand coverage of the advanced baseline imager technology across the Pacific Ocean, allowing meteorologists and local officials to see severe weather systems developing in real time.
So instead of seeing something, say, this large, that as you zoom in actually gets kind of blurry, you're actually going to see something that is much more detailed.
In its GOES West position, GOES-17 will be able to monitor conditions in the western U.S. like wildfires, coastal fog, and atmospheric rivers when storms from the Pacific dump heavy rain and snow over the western U.S. GOES-17 will have a major impact on fighting wildfires in California. Up-to-the-minute information and crisp detail allows forecasters to spot fires faster than ever before, even before the first 911 calls come in, and to better track and predict the path of large, dynamic, and dangerous fires.
It's amazing to see what we can get and at the level of detail and the speed that we can get the information down into the ground that makes our decision-making way more accurate.
With a view of the Pacific Ocean, GOES-17 will also provide a critical eye over shipping lanes vital to the U.S. economy, protecting cargo and passenger vessels from dangerous ocean storms. GOES-17 will also provide a high-definition view over Alaska, resulting in better weather forecasts and improved monitoring of sea ice, wildfires, and volcanic ash. The advanced baseline imager on GOES-17 can distinguish between clouds, sea ice, and snow cover, a critical need during Alaska's dark, cloudy winter months. GOES-17's geostationary lightning mapper monitors lightning flashes, including the in-cloud lightning most prevalent in severe storms, helping forecasters determine when a storm is forming, intensifying, and becoming more dangerous. Thanks to GOES-17, emergency managers will be equipped with more accurate weather predictions and faster warnings, providing a real impact, saving lives, and protecting infrastructure. Watching over Earth from 22,300 miles above, GOES-S will provide vital data to our weather-ready nation.
Hi, I'm JPSS. I'm a high-tech weather satellite that orbits our planet. I do something called a polar orbit. I circle the Earth from North Pole to South Pole, over and over, while the Earth spins. While I do that, I get lots of information about what's going on around the globe. I watch storms, clouds, and rain. I take the temperature of the ocean, measure air quality, ozone health, and take pictures of the land and sea. This information is used for all kinds of things. It helps us take care of our coasts and oceans and all the amazing things that live there. It helps us monitor harmful weather events like floods and droughts and measure the health of the environment. Most importantly, it helps us predict weather 3 to 7 days in the future. That means I can be a big help ahead of storms, where future warnings are important. I send information to the National Weather Service. They use the information to create forecasts. The forecasts are shared with people all over the country to help prepare for weather emergencies. So you look to the sky and wave. I'll be flying by.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back to today's sea ice analysis. Not too different from what we saw yesterday with sea ice free waters there north of Nunivak Island, north of St. Lawrence Island, and also a little bit there north of Nunivak Island. Forecast still looking for some advancing of the ice pack west and southwest over the next several days with the colder air moving in over the area. And for the coastal water forecast, gale warnings for northern Lynn Canal, 35-knot northerlies with 6-foot seas tomorrow. Small craft advisories there for Stevens Passage, and just barely even a breeze out of the south for Clarence Strait, 10 knots, 2-foot seas. Northwest, light northwesterlies, 10 to 15 on the south coast. Turn north to northeast, 20 and up to 25 here to the north. And then for the Wednesday outlook, easterlies at 20 knots with just 4 to 5-foot seas on the north coast, even lighter winds down south with slider seas, 10 to 15 knots, and easterlies at 10 for Clarence Strait, north 20 Stevens Passage, and down to small craft advisories now for northern Lynn Canal. And for Prince William Sound tomorrow, northeast at 20 with seas at about 2 feet. Same thing here for the eastern North Gulf Coast, a little lighter there for the western coast, and then Barren Islands, north at 20. Same thing for Kachemak Bay, northeast 20 for southern Cook Inlet. And for Wednesday, increasing the winds here for Cook Inlet, north 25, north of the Forelands, 30 knots to the south. Gale warnings in for Kachemak Bay, northeast 35 knots. Small craft advisories for the Barren Islands. A little bit lighter there for the western North Gulf Coast at 20, but here to the east, southeast 30 knots turn easterly. So there's gale warnings out for Prince William Sound on Wednesday with seas probably up to 7 feet. And then for Kodiak Island, north to northwest tomorrow, 15, pretty light there. North 15 Bristol Bay, even lighter here, southwest of Sitkinak, then picking up to 20 knots from Castle Cape to Cape Saratchev, northeast 15 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula. Then for Bristol Bay on Wednesday, northeast 15 all the way down to Cape Saratchev. South side here, south at 10, pretty light winds, 15 as you approach Sitkinak. And the east side of Kodiak, east 15, Shelikof Strait. Out west, east-northeast, 20 knots for the western Aleutians. Not too bad wind-wise all across the Aleutian chain. Just small craft advisories due to seas above 8 feet here that we have in places. Otherwise 6 to 8 feet or 9 feet for the seas. And then for Wednesday, even lighter winds in store, northeast at 15, 10 to 15 knots with 5-foot seas. here for the eastern central Aleutians and easterlies of 15 out west. And for the southwest coast, let's see, we've got south of Nunivak Island, northeasterlies at 15, east 20 for the Pribilofs, northeast 15 for St. Matthew Island, northeast 25 for St. Lawrence Island, and also brisk wind advisories there for Norton Sound for those northeasterlies at 25 knots. And I believe there's a heavy freezing spray warning out for the St. Lawrence Island area down into St. Matthew Island. And then for Wednesday, we've got northeast 20 here from Kuskokwim Bay right down across the Pribilof Islands, seas 5 to 6 feet, and then northeast 25 with 8-foot seas for St. Matthew Island. And 25-knot winds here turn northeast 25 for St. Lawrence Island, 30 knots out of the northeast for Norton Sound. Up along the Beaufort Sea coast, lightest winds will be on the east side there, 10 to 15 from the north-northeast, all the way to the central coast, and they increase to 20 knots here on the west side, all the way down to the Bering Straits, and then those increase further on Wednesday. We've got brisk wind advisories out from Wales all the way up to Cape Beaufort, northeast 30 knots here for those western capes, and coming back down to 20 knots for the western coast, northeast 15, central coast to demarcation point. And for tonight, again, really pretty fair through much of the interior, maybe some scattered light snow showers through this area, north central interior, just south of the Brooks Range, Koyukuk Valley, Kobuk Valley there. Increasing winds up in this area as well along the Brooks Range. Best chance of snow showers here over toward the border with that trough. Panhandle, chance of rain and snow south as this weak system drifts eastward, which tomorrow should be into Canada, leaving snow showers behind, scattered light snow showers. Look for clearing up to the north, and maybe a few more clouds for the North Gulf Coast and even Cook Inlet and the southwest interior, but basically dry. Still a chance of snow showers along the eastern border, but increasing winds, wind advisory, Kobuk, Noatak Valley tomorrow night. Gusts 45 miles an hour, blowing snow, reduced visibilities. Stays wet, but not too bad out over the Aleutians. And then the outlook for Wednesday, that next front that brings more rain into the central Aleutians really washes out on Wednesday. And this band of snow makes it to the North Gulf Coast as a pattern change with low pressure just over northeast Bristol Bay.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.